All right. Wow, I think that's pretty loud. Can everyone hear me? All right, perfect. Welcome and thank you for coming to my workshop. Greatly appreciated. Today, I'm very pleased to be able to talk to you about our joint ventures. We have our joint venture in Asia with SK, which is called Hiers. We have our joint venture, which is a fuel cell light commercial vehicle company in Europe with Renault. And we have our joint venture, Oxona Plug, which is a green hydrogen project-based venture in Iberia. So today I'm going to provide an overview. I'll update you on our progress in the JVs, and I'll share some examples of accelerating the hydrogen economies by selecting the right partners in region. Plug today has an extremely broad technology portfolio, and it crosses a wide swath of the value chain in the hydrogen economy. We'll get that. There we go. So with this broad technology portfolio, when you match it to the right strategic partner, you can accelerate the regional hydrogen ecosystem dramatically. So as we look for a strategic partner, we're focused on finding one that is the right fit. So first and foremost, we want market knowledge and access. Scale is important. To use a baseball analogy, we aren't trying to play small ball. We want to do significant things. And we look for a partner that has the vision and the resources to help enable that. We want complementary skills. 1 + 1 must equal 3. And that partner should have the ability to influence and shape public policy to facilitate and accelerate adoption of the technology. They should have access to the local supply chain and leverage for local content and cost reduction. I think perhaps most important is that we need a cultural fit. So we're looking for partners that have vision, values, and business norms that match Plug's. And one thing that we can say is our 3 partners that we're going to talk about today, SK, Renault, Oxona, they check all of those boxes. So we have definitely found the right partners and the right fit. So Hiva is our joint venture with Renault. Renault brings to the table electrified vehicle platforms for the LCV business. And in the LCV business, we mean the van business. So Hiva produces fuel cell powered light commercial vehicles, vans for the European market. Renault brings those electrified light commercial vehicle platforms. They have a well-established and extensive sales and distribution network, which is an incredible asset throughout Europe. They have access to a low-cost, high-volume automotive supply chain, and they have highly automated inline vehicle assembly plants throughout Europe. Plug brings proven fuel cell technology, and in addition to that, we have high-volume, vertically integrated fuel cell manufacturing capability, which drives scale and cost. In addition to that, through our success in material handling, Plug also brings significant relationships with blue-chip fleet customers. And this is important because these fleet customers are already hydrogen literate. They're hydrogen experienced, and they already understand the value proposition associated with high utilization fleet vehicles. At Hiva, we've gone from concept to reality in a very quick fashion. So we have commercially available vehicles on the roads of Europe today. Our first generation van is commercially available, and it's underway in pilot deployments with fleet customers. Hiva has a unique value proposition. Similar to Plug, Hiva provides a total system solution. So they have the capability of providing hydrogen infrastructure coupled with those vans. And that's important because we can accelerate adoption for tethered fleets, just like we did in material handling. The model is very similar. Those fleets that go off during the day and return home at night, we can provide the full system solution. We can provide it now. You don't need to wait for a large-scale commercial refueling network. So Hiva brings that value proposition to the marketplace. We currently have our second generation van in homologation and validation testing. And this van represents a higher degree of integration than our first product. And in fact, Andy mentioned that for those of you that stay at the reception, you'll get a chance to drive one of the vans. That is our first generation van, and that van is the one that's commercially for sale today in Europe. The purpose of this first and second generation product is really to let our fleet customers learn in pilot deployments, how to understand the benefits of fuel cell EVs in their networks, validate the performance, and learn how to maximize the use of the value proposition. And this is all in preparation for the high volume retail vehicle, which is the next generation master van platform that will have a retail commercial launch in 2025. The new master van platform is a clean sheet design, so it's a brand new van, and it will be built in the high volume inline assembly process in Béthis, France. For SK, this is our joint venture. Hiers is our joint venture with SK in Asia. And Plug brings the core hydrogen technology to the table. And SK brings local access, local knowledge, and captive demand. SK has significant scale. They're a very large company, and one of the benefits to the JV is they have significant captive demand within their operations. The Hiers JV essentially replicates Plug in region, and the bulk of our product lines will be localized within the JV. One of the key items that really enables fuel cell adoption in a region is having economical hydrogen available at the point of use. And SK E&S is providing that function. They have 90 tons per day of liquid hydrogen coming online at the end of this year, an additional 250 tons per day planned for 2026. So now that we've got the hydrogen, Hiers is working hard to distribute it. So we are building, owning, and operating the largest liquid hydrogen-based refueling network in Korea. This network consists of 29 stations overall. The initial stations are coming online at the end of this year, and the balance of the network will be completed by 2025. These are high-volume 700-bar stations designed for commercial applications. And the first targeted application of these stations will be the commercial bus fleets within Korea. This is probably one of my favorite examples of accelerating a local hydrogen ecosystem through strategic partners. And in this example, we're building in Korea, we're creating and building the hydrogen bus ecosystem in record time, in approximately 2 years. And let me walk into the example and show you what we're doing. So SK E&S, they're providing the production of hydrogen. They're also providing the initial bus demand utilizing their internal fleets. Plug is bringing our fuel cell technology. So we have our ProGen 125 that will power these buses. And in addition, we're providing from Plug Cryo the liquid storage tanks for siting at the stations, and the cryogenic delivery trailers to distribute the hydrogen from the SK/E&S plants to those stations. Hiers, of course, they're building, owning, and operating that refueling network. SK/E&S has been, very instrumental with Hiers in securing significant and sizable government funding to accelerate the build of that network. And Hiers is also providing the localization of the fuel cells. We have a leading vehicle OEM that is bringing their best-in-class, latest and greatest electrified bus platform to the collaboration. And we have a Tier 1 automotive, Shen, that will provide the local integration of the fuel cell, local content, and they'll also provide the dealer and service network to distribute the buses. The key to speed in this application is operating in a parallel fashion, building this capability on multiple fronts in parallel rather than using a traditional serial approach. So what we will have accomplished by this time in 2024 is we will have created and built an entire bus ecosystem in Korea that consists of hydrogen production. It consists of the delivery mechanisms with the cryo trailers. It consists of the fueling stations, commercially available fuel cell buses, assembly, sales, and distribution network, and initial demand in record time in the space of approximately 2 years. Now, the picture that you see is actually our buses. So those are the actual fuel cell buses. They're currently, the fuel cells are integrated, and they're on road doing validation and homologation testing in Korea. And we're planning to launch those buses commercially into the market in the second half of 2024. To touch on a few other highlights with Hiers, today's a big day. So our first 1 megawatt electrolyzer landed on site in Jeju Island in Korea. This electrolyzer has been modified and approved to Korean standards. So it's the first non-Korean PEM electrolyzer to be certified for use in Korea. So that represents our first electrolyzer sale. And right behind it will be a 5 megawatt system that we're currently taking the learnings from the 1 megawatt, applying them to the 5 megawatt, and those modifications are underway. And we have a robust pipeline, commercial pipeline that's beginning to develop in this space. The stationary market represents a very large opportunity for Hiers. And what we're targeting in this market is continuous power generation. So Korea has an independent power producer grid, and there's an opportunity to build sizable power generation facilities in Korea. And so that's the primary focus of the stationary effort. And in fact, SK/E&S is putting those 250 tons of hydrogen capacity in to feed these type of systems. So that's a big, very large opportunity that's in front of the business today. And we're currently in the process of localizing that product, and we'll have a pilot deployment of a product built by the JV in Korea in the first quarter of this year. In material handling, we've been active. So we've signed MOUs with key players. So players like CJ Logistics, which is the largest logistics provider in Korea, and a true global player. Coupang, some people know it as the Amazon of that area. And Doosan, which is a material handling provider in Korea and globally, manufacturing and making forklifts. So our Gen Drives, they're in local test and certification in those processes, and we expect to be deploying in that market soon. we've had a big effort going on with the Korean government, and we've actually had several visits to the US. And what we're trying to accomplish is allow indoor refueling. So we've been able to now shape policy in Korea, open up the opportunity for indoor refueling, which dramatically opens up the market for our material handling products. So we've been successful, and that's been a combination effort between SKE&S, Hiers, and Plug. For our Plug Cryo product, similarly, we become KGS certified for sale and deployment in Korea, and we will start shipping our first liquid hydrogen cryogenic storage tanks and trailers to feed this network in the fourth quarter of this year.
For electrolyzers and stationary, SK already owns a large portion of Bloom, who makes solid oxide electrolyzers, fuel cells. What do you see like the ability to scale in that market for you guys?
So that's good. SK is a very, very large company, a $70 billion plus conglomerate. And there's a company called SK EcoPlant and SK Innovations that does have a relationship with Bloom. We see our opportunities to be excellent in that space, and not only with continuous power generation, but backup power and many other applications for the stationary products. So when we look at the deployment of solid oxide, which they have achieved some large installations, 20, 25 megawatt type scale, we think we compare favorably. And in addition to that, we think ultimately this technology is lower cost. All right. So our last JV is Oxona Plug. And this brings together Oxona, who is a large renewables provider in Spain and Portugal, with Plug's best-in-class PEM electrolyzer technology. And the purpose of this JV, it's a project-oriented JV, is to produce green hydrogen in Iberia at competitive prices. So we're well underway. Today, the JV is fully staffed and it's operational. Our first plant is projected to be online at the end of 2024, early 2025. This is a 25 megawatt plant that's co-located with a Oxona solar and wind field in the north of Spain. It's actually in Navarre, and this plant is capable of scaling to 50 megawatts. The JV has been building a robust pipeline. So that pipeline today has approximately 4 gigawatts in it. The first portion of that pipeline, the project's in advanced stage. There's about 8 projects well along in that funnel, and that represents approximately a gigawatt. And there's about 3 gigawatts that are in early stage today. So with that, I've finished, I think, just on time for the Q&A. I certainly love to talk about our joint ventures, and I welcome any questions you may have, and we'll do our best to answer them. Not for me. Actually, if you can catch Sanjay at the reception, he's the best person to talk to about that. But I think it's a great thing, by the way. I think it's a great thing for Plug.
Looking at the expansion and the scalability of all of these projects, not only U.S. stateside, but globally, we're looking at a tremendous amount of capital which has to be deployed. How are you engaging with the capital markets to structure, for example, the projects in the project development in northern Spain with Oxona? Like, are you engaged specifically in the capital structuring of these projects, or are you looking to the market to sort of source some of the capital necessary?
I think Plug is looking, for both. And you're right, we have a tremendous funnel. There's tremendous opportunity, particularly in the electrolyzer space and the green hydrogen production space, as well as stationary, truly in all of our market segments today. So as Andy said earlier today, these markets are big, and as a result, there's huge opportunities, and with those opportunities, we'll have to investigate, all of those items to be successful and capture as much share as we can. Questions on Hiva or fuel cell vans?
So for Oxona,
Mhm.
do you have an ability to work on, I guess, so with Hiva, does that cover all of Europe, or are you able to have similar deals in other European?
Yeah. So the territory for Hiva is throughout Europe. So yes, Plug could partner with others to provide vehicles elsewhere in the globe. We would love to, at some point, bring obviously a van to North America.
You mentioned earlier Hiers having 90 tons per day soon and 250 tons per day down there. Is that all Plug electrolyzer capacity, or is it?
Yeah. So it's SKENS, our partner in Hiers, and they're an energy producer in Korea. And so they're building that hydrogen capability. The first 90 tons per day is waste stream. So it's located adjacent to a SKENS refinery. And so it's using the waste stream from that refinery. They're cleaning it up and liquefying it for distribution. The second 250 tons, there aren't a tremendous amount of renewables in Korea, so that second plant will be traditional SMR based with carbon capture to lower the carbon intensity.
Sorry, what is SMR based?
Steam methane reformation. Yeah.
But the 90, that'll be Plug equipment, or are they using different?
The 90 tons per day is not Plug manufacturing equipment on the waste stream, but it is Plug cryogenic trailers for the delivery and the logistics and so forth on it. And the 250 tons per day, obviously we'll see how much equipment Plug can provide into that opportunity.
Are you able to say who is providing the bus, the OEM provider?
Not at this time. Not at this time. Yeah.
Kind of piggybacking on like the capital commitment question earlier, so like the United States, that's where you're deploying the majority of your capital. Like you're trying to form like a JV with the government, sort of, through a DOE loan. In the interim, is there like any kind of other, do you have any other ambitions similar to like equity swaps that you just did? And like what are the benefits of those that kind of,
It's a good question. I think it's probably better addressed by Paul Middleton. So I would welcome you to reach out to Paul during the reception, and he'll provide, I think, a more solid answer to that question. Yeah. I think one of the most exciting things, I've been at Plug for quite some period of time, and one of the most exciting things that I see in our JVs is the speed at which we're moving, right? So SK has tremendous scale. They have tremendous reach and influence in the region. And so when we look at this JV, we realize that it can be really, really significant. And some of the deals that we're putting together today in those JVs, really emphasize how selecting the right strategic partners with the right market access and capability can really help you accelerate. And certainly the joint venture in Asia is an excellent example of that. And if you take a look at what we've done in Hiva, right, we started, I think, 2 years ago, and we already have fuel cell powered vans, homologated, commercially available on the roads in Europe. These admittedly are low volume demonstrators meant to trial the technology, focused on the high volume next generation master that comes out in 2025. But the ability to pick these partners with the right complementary capabilities allows us to develop this market in an extremely rapid fashion, that if we had used a serial approach, doing things the way that you would normally do them, recognize a market, develop a product, trial the product, find customers to sell it to, et cetera, build a service network to contain it, it would take many, many years. So the ability to, in these market segments, to accelerate the hydrogen economy and accelerate the adoption and accelerate the penetration is what I find tremendously exciting. We're moving at speeds that, when you think about it, are quite impressive because of these capabilities that we bring together. Plug with the core hydrogen technology and those partners with the local access, the local ability to shape public policy, the complementary skills. It really for a Plug veteran, it's really impressive to see how fast we can move.
On the buses in South Korea, are they the cross-country buses or the local city buses?
These are municipal buses, and then they have a second class. It's an excellent question. So then they have the long-distance cross-country buses, but then they have something that is a cross between the city bus and the long regional, and it's essentially made to take people from the cities to work and bring them back. So they have all three types, and the buses that we're doing are first are municipal, and that second class, the more than a municipal but less than a regional.
So the regional buses network is extensive.
Yeah. The bus market in that portion of the world is very large, and they also consume a significant amount of hydrogen. So it's a very good opportunity. Yeah.
The supply chain JV with Johnson Matthey, is there any update on any activity with them?
So we're continuing in that partnership, and that partnership is focused on manufacturing technology, development of future MEAs, and leveraging our combined volumes. So that partnership continues and is well underway and in operation.
So they're not coming into your facility or building a new facility? There's going to be an adjacent facility, anything you can say?
Not yet. Not yet.
Can you talk about the Fortescue JV and why that didn't happen?
So George, would you like to answer that question?
What's the question?
The Fortescue JV and why the JV didn't happen. I think obviously the relationship is valued, right? And in the end, we started out thinking the JV route, and in the end, we ended up with a very extensive commercial partnership. So I think the relationship is a good one. It's a success, and we've just migrated from some initial thoughts to the place that we are today, which is a strategic commercial partnership. Anyone have the question about why fuel cell EVs versus battery electric vehicles? Okay. So the reason that we've targeted the light commercial vehicle space is because the hydrogen value proposition is very strong in that space. So the hydrogen proposition works very well when you have high utilization vehicles, so things that are used multiple shifts or on express routes where range is important and you can't sacrifice payload capacity, right? So the more batteries that you put on board, the less product that you can carry. So the van market, the light commercial van market, is an extremely good one for the hydrogen value equation. And that's why we've selected the LCV market as our first, entry in the commercial vehicle space. We've got time for one more.
The maritime industry.
Mm-hmm.
With McKinley Miller opening up the largest, how should we say, demand center with C2X, how do you see potential integration partnerships with the shipping segment in the production of and distribution of ammonia and methanol? Where is your vision on that?
In terms of just the transportation of green ammonia and other items, or converting the maritime market to be powered off of hydrogen. Mm-hmm.
Portion of it, but then there's also the strategic development of being able to co-locate these distribution centers, refueling capacities globally to supply the demand for this tremendous transformation.
Yeah. So the port environment is an extremely rich environment for hydrogen, right? You bring together a tremendous amount of applications in that space. Obviously you've got maritime fuel, you've got moving, energy in the form of green ammonia. You have material handling vehicles and day cabs that are transporting goods from the port locally, and those day cabs go out and they return home. Material handling vehicles, you've got container stackers, you've got rubber-tired gantries, you've got a plethora of equipment that currently today is, primarily diesel-based equipment that are all applicable for conversion to, fuel cell power and hydrogen. So the ports are, really a very rich environment for hydrogen applications. Another great application in the port is shore power, right? So when we look at our stationary product, it's a perfect product for shore power. So when those ships come in and they're tethered at the dock, they can shut down their engines and their emissions, and they can run tethered on a large stationary fuel cell to provide all the shore power for it. So we view ports and that ecosystem as a very rich environment for hydrogen and for fuel cell applications, and it is an area of focus for Plug. And I think you've probably heard Andy in his talks today talk and refer to the Port of Antwerp and others, and we do see those as important areas in the hydrogen ecosystem. and they're under tremendous pressure to reduce their emissions. So it is an area that we think can move swiftly in many applications, not all, but it is an area of terrific interest. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming and learning about our JVs. If you have any more questions, I'll be around this afternoon and would be more than willing to try to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.